Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Everything College Football Podcast. Today we're doing our 2022 preview and prediction for the Colorado Buffaloes. Karl Dorrell, it's his third season. He's 8-10 through 2 years here in Boulder. Mike Sanford comes over to be the offensive coordinator while Chris Wilson is enjoying his second year as the defensive play caller. The biggest headline for Colorado this offseason, 21 players have transferred since October. It might even be more up until this point. A lot of starters have left too. They did add 3 from the portal on offense, helping beef up that struggling unit, but for the most part, it's not been a pretty offseason for Dorrell and the Buffaloes as they've lost a lot of players, not just to the portal, but due to eligibility as well. So big time losses for Colorado. Looking at this offense, they were not pretty last year. Massively underperformed, mainly Brendan Lewis at quarterback, 126 yards per game through the year. He did take care of the ball at least, 10 touchdowns with 3 picks. But this receiving game and passing game, it just didn't work at all. There were issues with accuracy with Lewis. The receivers couldn't separate. Consistency all around was just not evident. Lewis, I was very disappointed. I expected big things out of him, and he met nowhere near those expectations. They were 126th nationally in pass yards per game. That's down there with the academies that run the ball 50, 60 times a game. So they were certainly one of the worst passing attacks in all of college football. And they were 121st in points per game either. They had a pretty solid run game, but this lack of balance hurt this offense and this football team tremendously. JT Shrout, he's there, 6'3", 215. Only a few games to his name, though, here as a fifth-year player. I think the best way to get this offense going, though, with Lewis is more play action. Make it a focal point to get it to the playmakers as well. Last year, there was just so much confusion on offense. Play calling seemed to be down. Overall playmaking was just not good either. And, of course, the quarterback position, Lewis, just wasn't good. So I think they certainly need to incorporate more play action. I think this running game is going to be pretty solid. Jarrett Broussard, he obviously transfers out to Michigan State. They averaged 212 yards per game on the ground in 2020. That went all the way down to 126 in 2021, so this offense really had nothing clicking for them. They did pick up Ramon Jefferson from Sam Houston State. This guy's ridiculous. 1,200 yards, 13 touchdowns last year at the FCS level. This guy's highlights/film are ridiculous, though. He is insanely elusive. He stops on a dime and can cut. Very impressive speed. I think Jefferson's going to be one of the top newcomers in the conference. Of course, USC's a handful of guys that will certainly win the award, but Jefferson is not to be slept on. I think he's going to be a big-time impact player for the Buffaloes. Alex Fautnot, he's back, 326 yards, 5 touchdowns in 21. He also had 5 scores in 2020 as well, so they got a reliable backup running back as well. They also picked up Victor Venn from Buford, Georgia, a track star, plenty of speed. So I like this backfield. I don't know if they can do better in the 126 yards per game last year. It's really kind of contingent on the passing game, which I do think they will get a little bit better. Disappointing all around, though, led to the transfers, guys like Brendan Rice, Levante Chenault, Dimitri Stanley. They lost 3 big-time receivers. I really expected this passing attack to be good last year, not just because of Lewis, but because of those pass catchers, and those guys are all gone now. R.J. Sneed does arrive from Buffalo. 46 grabs, 573 yards, a veteran from Baylor. Good concentration. He can catch if a defender draped all over him. This is a big-time addition for them to kind of alleviate the pain they lose from those 3 starters. Tight end Brady Russell, though, 6'3", 250, quite slim for a 250-pounder. Gives him some good yards after catch abilities. Average double-figure yards per catch in 5 games last year. Good mark for this offense. I think Brady Russell was one of their top players a year ago, and I think they're going to use him heavily this year as well. Daniel Arias, another pass catcher, he's got some speed. They're going to look to get him involved. All around, though, from a skilled position standpoint, it's not too bright. I think running back, I think they're going to be in good shape, but at pass catcher, kind of worried. I like Sneed and Russell, but after that, not really sure who's going to step up. But it's kind of on the quarterback, though, to see who can step up because he was not good last year. So he's got to be a lot better. That's going to help your playmakers emerge and develop at a higher rate. This offensive line, one of the worst in the Pac-12, couldn't run the ball, they couldn't pass block. It's not like the passing game helped them out anyways, like I keep harping on. They did add Tommy Brown, probably going to be the right tackle here from Alabama, 6'7", 330. Biggest and most experienced right now on this offensive line is Tommy Brown. It's a young group of guys. Kyle Devan has plenty of work to do, the offensive line coach, all around this Colorado offense. I'm really not sure what to expect. They can't be much worse than they were last year, but maybe they can. I think Lewis will certainly take a few steps, I think, because I do think that they're going to get some play action involved. Jefferson's going to be a star. I think they're going to run the ball for at least 150 yards per game with him at the forefront. And I think Sneed, his veteran leadership, is certainly going to help out. And they'll get Russell involved a good bit. I don't think he had a touchdown last year, so getting him involved in the red zone, that's going to be key if they can get there, of course. All around this offense, very disappointing from a year ago. They lose a lot of talent, but I don't think all hope is lost with some of the guys they have on this roster. Looking at the defense was also mightily disappointing last year. They gave up over 6 yards per play, 98th in total defense. Lose some really good players. Mustafa Johnson, Carson Wells, Nate Landman. 13 sacks in 12 games for this unit, one of the worst pass rushes in CFB. The run defense wasn't that good either, 111th in yards per carry allowed. So all around, this football team was just very disappointing last year. I really thought they had something cooking. I think they were going to – I had them as one of the more underrated teams in the Pac-12, and they just flat out disappointed on both sides of the ball despite the players they had. Defensive tackle Naeem Rodman, though, 6'2", 305. He was a consistent force late in the season. I think him and Guy Thomas, who had 4 tackles for loss in 6 games, they might have something there in those two guys. There's some experience at linebacker, too. I think that's probably the strongest positional group on the roster. Robert Barnes, the OU transfer, one of the best tacklers down the stretch for this team. Quinn Perry, he was also third on the team with 65 stops. Those two are back. I really like what they got at linebacker, but it's not strong. They, of course, lose Wells on the outside and Landman in the middle, who's just so good for them. Marvin Ham, he might find his way into the lineup. Isaac Hurtado as well. So I like the linebacking core a little bit. I don't know how impactful they will be, but having a veteran presence there in the middle is certainly important for a team that loses a lot. The Buffalo secondary, they did not allow many big plays downfield. They allowed a good bit of yards, though, 242 yards per game. Underneath coverage just wasn't great, though. Now they replaced 3 starters in the secondary. All of them transfer. Mekhi Blackman transfers to the SC, Mark Perry to TCU, and Christian Gonzalez to Oregon. So they have 3 starters gone. 2 of them remain in conference, but they do get back Isaiah Lewis, one of the top players in the conference, probably one of the nation's top safeties as well. A top tackler on this team a year ago with 68 tackles. Really good in coverage. He's a senior. All the other expected starters are redshirt freshmen or sophomore. Trevor Woods, Nico Reed, Nigel Bethel. He's a veteran too. They're looking to hope to get more out of. Overall, defense loses a lot. I just all around, I don't know how they're going to get better because they were not very good in one particular area. The pass rush was brutal. The secondary, they had their struggles, and even despite having some good guys at linebacker, they couldn't seem to stop the run or get off the field. So this defense has a lot of work to do. I don't expect them to progress either, which is not saying a lot because they were not very good last year. I do think they'll probably get worse. Looking at the schedule preview and prediction, 0-12. That's the final verdict with this football team. The TCU defense was highly awful themselves last year. I think this offense can have some good success on the ground because that was not a good run-stopping unit last year. But I think TCU's offense is going to outscore Colorado in a game they'll likely see many points. I don't think they're going to be Air Force on the road. They'll look to dominate the clock, and that offense that's not very good will be on the sideline all game. And last year, they lost to Minnesota 30-0 in Boulder, too. And, that's when I realized how bad this team was, and I don't think they're going to get any better in 2022. I expected some pretty big things out of Colorado last year, and then they got blown out at home like that by Minnesota, and then I realized this team was not going to be very special. So that's the 3 non-conference losses. They don't get any freebies anywhere at Arizona. It's probably the second worst team in the conference, maybe, coming into the year, at Washington as well. So there's no freebies on this schedule one bit. The over-under set at 3.5. It's very generous, especially when you look at the schedule. I think maybe they can snag one off of TCU because that defense was bad last year. I think Jefferson, Snead, guys like that could have success, but it's going to be tough, I think, to win more than a game here. And if they do beat TCU, that would be the lone win on this schedule. I don't see anything other than that. Maybe at home versus Cal, but again, not very hopeful for this football team. Last year was a big disappointment. They lose a lot of depth, a lot of talent on both sides. Carl Doro will probably be on his way out. I never really understood the decision to hire him anyways. So that's going to be it for today's episode, guys. Not very thrilled with this Buffalo football team, but we'll see what happens. Very tough schedule. Ramon Jefferson, though, I think will be a star, so we'll see what happens with him on the ground. Hopefully some guys can help him out on offense, and hopefully the defense can get better, at least in the pass rush department, because that was very poor last year. That's going to be it for today, though. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment. See you next time.